Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer, and today we're going to be doing our regular generative AI update. I mean, it's as long as there is stuff to talk about that feels fairly important. Today, I know it hasn't been that long since we talked about things. There's a lot going on, and some things that I really wanted to cover without waiting for like a million things to come out first. So we're going to just talk, hopefully have a more reasonable sized video today because I don't have 25,000 tabs to cover, but I do have quite a few big subjects to cover that I really wanted to get to. So we're going to talk about this stuff. Keep your hopes up as always. I think it is important to stay on top of like what people are talking about, what I see going on, what you see going on by talking in the comments, and to come together as different, not even just types of creators, but people that also just love art and love talking to people and love people in general. Like people, don't get me wrong, people can be exhausting. The idea of people can sometimes be better than people, but ultimately, I think in order to be an artist or in order to enjoy art in general, you have to like people because art is a piece of people's soul. So like without getting deeper into it at this point in time, I just think that aside from the things that people do that frustrate or dishearten or are depressing in general, I love people more than the other things. And so keep your hopes up because I think it's worth keeping hopes up. And I am only here because I believe in people. But I've just said people enough. I believe is somebody have a better way of saying this? That's all I'm going to preface with. But before we get started in the actual topic, number one, if you enjoy what I do here, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. The number one way to be featured is through Leigh, the monthly prompt writing contest, where I give you a prompt, you write a short story using that prompt, and on the first Monday video of the month, we bask in your creativity. The second way to be featured is if you are an indie author and you have a book out or a book that is coming out. If you submit the first chapter and the cover, that chapter will be right here on the channel to hopefully help more readers find your work. Being discovered is really the most difficult thing, and if only we all had marketing dollars. Instead, this is what I have to offer. I'm sorry. And the third thing is, if you would like to check out any of my books, they're available at any of your favorite places to get books. With that said, let's get into this hot with the biggest thing. I mean, there are a lot of big things to take away today, but like I saw this and believe people when they show you who they are. That's the first thing. Going over to Louisa Durovsky, to make it clear to everyone, tech executives like Jack and Elon Musk want no legal protections for original creative works, trademarks, patents, trade secrets, geographical indications. They want the financial collapse of creators, no system of consumer trust, full corporate espionage, the end of high investment innovations, fake regional products. If you had doubts about what the tech industry stands for, here you have it loud and clear. Or they don't want anything about law, or they don't know anything about law. In that case, as influential tech leaders with millions of followers, they should be more self-aware and refrain from encouraging baseless ideas. Ignore the noise and learn about AI copyright issues. And so here we have a tweet from Jack that says, delete all IP law, and Elon Musk saying, I agree. And that is a direct attack on creators, on your ability to own your thoughts, your work, your labor, your skills that you've built into a craft. And that's all that it is. That's what we've been saying for years at this point. Another comment over here with Melanie D. Arrigo. The tech broliarchy wants to end IP laws because they want their AI products to steal, distribute, and profit from other people's work without having to pay for it. Ending IP law legalizes theft. And in case anyone wanted to argue that it doesn't, Ed Newton Rex over here says, send this to anyone who tells you that corporations are the only ones that benefit from copyright law. And you've got somebody called The Intern who says, if you really think that copyright gives artists power over their work as is, ask yourself, who owns the rights to Gravity Falls? It's not Alex Hirsch, it's Disney. Why are we bending over backwards to defend the rights of these mega corporate IP feudal lords? And Alex Hirsch, the actual creator of Gravity Falls, responded with, Disney owns Gravity Falls because I chose to sell it to them, and I was compensated. Ghibli didn't choose to sell their art to OpenAI, and Ghibli wasn't compensated. Why are you bending over backwards to defend the rights for a $157 billion company exploiting artists? So yes, owning your creative work, owning what comes out of your brain, what comes out of the time that you spend sitting down. I mean, we all know this if we've actually sat down and created something. It takes time, it takes labor, it takes so much energy to like fight through the doubts and to find time in your day, not only to build the final thing that gets out there, whether it's a work of visual arts or music or a movie or writing, but you also have to spend all of the time learning the skills and the mental energy of feeling like a failure. And I know that if anybody I know, unless all of you came out of the womb just being amazing at everything you do first try, we all had to like be sucky at things first. And then, I don't know about you, freaking art just looks bad until it doesn't. I mean, I watch people with their speed draws posted and it's like a blob. I freaking watch Sam. I love watching artists because it feels like they're predicting where it's going to go. And I don't entirely understand it yet because I'm not that high level. But you watch like high level artists and they just like start putting stuff down and it just at some point starts making sense. And you're like, how the frick did you do that? And it's just such high level. But you have to struggle so much and learn to get through that process and what your process is and to trust your process and to build those skills before you can even get to that level of feeling like you can put stuff out there. And it is so hard. And you have to fight through all of the self-doubt that comes with all of that fight, like just not being where you want to be. You're the one that this is something that I constantly think of as well as I'm like working through my draft and talking to other people as they're working through their stuff is like, you're the only one that has to generally be exposed to your learning process. You go to the store and then you see the books that are finished and the books that have been helped by a team, editors, critique partners, whatever, other people, and they're like finished. And you can't help but look at like the finished product and then compare it to where you are and be like, I'm never going to get there. But you're putting something that is like you working through the process to somebody who's already finished it. And it's the same with any sort of art that sometimes it can just really take a toll. Maybe it's just me. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to claim that my experience is everyone's experience. But it is so easy to look at somebody's finished expression, somebody's finished artwork and be like, I will never get there because you are the only one that is constantly day in and day out being exposed to the learning process. And you didn't get to see the 10, 15, 20 years or more of that person putting in the work that is all of the scribbles that made them be like, am I wasting my time? It is so hard. And I commend anybody that sticks with it, that goes through the difficulty of getting through that hard stuff to learn how to craft their emotions, to craft the expressions that they're trying to make, to get their ideas out there in that form. It's so hard. Anyway, moving on. Louisa Charovsky says, did you know that OpenAI is building a social network? Most people won't notice it, but it is another privacy trick. Here's why. According to a report published by The Verge, OpenAI's early social media prototype would expand ChatGPT's new image generation capabilities to a social feed. If you read my article about the Ghibli effect, which was cited by dozens of media articles worldwide, you know that the way that OpenAI launched the new image generator was a smart privacy and PR trick by OpenAI to collect thousands of personal images to train its AI models. When people voluntarily upload images to ChatGPT, it's much easier to OpenAI. They don't need to consider the privacy law challenge of scraping human faces from the internet or closing licensing deals with image banks. People are giving them to the OpenAI for free. The trend is still ongoing, and people are voluntarily uploading personal images to turn them into miniature dolls or whatever that new avatar trend is. OpenAI did not expect such a viral effect from the new image generator. According to reports, OpenAI doubled its user base after the Ghibli effect. Sam Altman has also said 10% of the world now uses our system a lot. OpenAI engineers are smart and realize that there is something special about this image generator, something that resonates with people. Not only that, it also generates the gold OpenAI needs to train its model. Personal data. So they had an idea. Why not turn the image generation feature into a social feed? The people would get trendy avatars or whatever other images they want. they will share them with their friends, and OpenAI would have a constant flow of gold they need, personal data, which their competitors, X and Meta, already have. So when OpenAI starts marketing its social network as the new way to connect with your friends, please don't fall for it. It's 2025, and OpenAI, Meta, X, and others only need your personal data to train AI. So this also goes with the things of like, read my profile and all of the things on it, and then it'll tell you what your horoscope is or whatever. So many of these trends and so many of these algorithms that are doing these things are training on the data and the verbiage and everything that you're putting in there, and they ask for permission, and those things are used to train those systems. So just know that you are being tricked into giving your information away for free, because then you're not actually going to have a case against them, though maybe you would, because consumer lies. But they put that in the terms to get away with it. Now, they will make all of these claims and steal all of this stuff while also saying this ridiculousness right here. Quote, furthermore, Meta says that while the company has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in LLM development, they see no market in paying authors to license their books because for there to be a market, there must be something of value to exchange. But none of the plaintiffs' work has economic value individually as training data. So what they're saying is your books and images, I'm including all sorts of art and music, have no value on their own. But once they are consumed in mass and stolen and put in this vault of data, then they have value. But you alone, when you've built this thing, it has zero value. You don't deserve to be paid. It is their theft of it that gives it value. And so this was down here with, this is how Meta AI staffers deemed more than 7 million books to have no economic value. So this will be linked in the description below if you would like to see it. But these people are so arrogant that they will say your stuff, your life, your personal data, your work, nothing has value, but it's the entire thing that builds up their organization, gives them their billions upon billions of dollars for their business. If they didn't have the theft, their programs would be worth nothing, and they know it. You also have just another reminder to all artists, OpenAI has $3 billion to spend on buying another company. It's only when it comes to licensing your images and artwork to use for training that it simply is too infeasible for them to pay for IP. So again, it's just people that don't respect artwork, or the work that goes into making art. It is nothing else but an excuse to devalue and steal art. Meanwhile, from Futurism, poll finds Americans are largely disgusted by AI-generated news. As the United States' biggest, newest brand experiment with artificial intelligence in their content, readers remain unimpressed. In a new poll conducted by Poynter and the University of Minnesota, nearly half of the survey's respondents said that they don't want AI reporting to the news, don't want AI reporting the news to them. And 20% say that the news publishers shouldn't be using the technology at all. For the early March poll, the institutions recruited 1,128 demographically diverse people to form a representative sample of Americans. In an online survey, those respondents were asked a battery of questions about social media consumption and literacy levels before asking about their personal AI use and their opinions regarding it as journalism. When asked if they had any interest in tools that allowed readers to get information by chatting with virtual assistants or digital chatbots that delivered AI-generated answers from previously published reporting, the kind of thing that publishers as desperate as Snopes and The Guardian are looking into, 49% said that they had no interest at all. In another portion of the survey, 30% of respondents said that they had no confidence at all in news organizations using AI to write articles. 32% said the same about publishers using AI to create images where real photographs are not available. Interestingly, more than half of the survey's respondents said that they think publishers are already using generative AI to create images and articles, a trend that has been demonstrated before and which is certainly not helping distrust in the media that has been for years shown distrust in the media that has for years been sown by Donald Trump and his movements. While there's plenty of evidence suggesting that people are becoming more comfortable with AI as it infiltrates our lives, this kind of survey reminds us that skepticism remains rampant, especially for important topics. The data suggests if you build it, do not expect overwhelming demand for it, explained Benjamin Toff, a University of Minnesota media expert who led the research and a similar study last year in an interview with Poynter. And this is only 1,100 people. But a lot of people don't want it. Personally, I don't want it. We can take another mini poll here, basically, of, well, would you trust AI generated news? You feel free to answer in the comments below. We also, again, from Futurism, have OpenAI is taking spammers' money to pollute the internet at unprecedented scales, which also, to me personally, and obviously these are all just opinions, my thoughts, please share your own, that these companies are trying to destroy the internet and other providers. Like in one of the last videos I did on this, I talked about how OpenAI/Google is redirecting traffic from the websites to Google's own links and to Google itself quoting itself to answer questions. And in something that I did like years ago, I talked about, well, I say years ago, it was like last year probably. I talked about how their bots that were crawling the web for data were also using up people's ad spending for their websites to bring people to them, which means like you would hit the budget for the ad spending by never actually reaching people, because it's just these bots continually hitting the website until you got to your budget use. And then like, now what? Because you're not getting those visitors, those organic visitors, those real humans that would then actually purchase something. You're just getting bots consuming the budget and the data on your website and killing your literal website. And so we see that here, and we see it like the way that Pinterest is talked about. Pinterest is being killed by spammers, and there is nothing to end the spamming of all of these websites. And we're going to keep seeing businesses fold and websites fold as the spam kills the reason to use any of them. Sam Altman's grand vision of democratizing artificial intelligence seems, per a new study, to include an ugly asterisk. It monetizes, at the very least, by spam bots filling the web with AI-generated garbage. And this also includes like Amazon. It's not just the normal web. You've got like Amazon and book publishers that have been set up, or book distributors, excuse me, that have been set up to just have one click, create an AI-generated book-like product, give it a cover, and then slap it on Amazon all in one touch of a button. Like, it's all meant to just spam the heck out of everything, which is also why I try to feature books here, because it's so hard to find stuff already. And then you've got all of this spam in the actual bookstores. According to the cybersecurity firm SentinelOne, search engine optimization scammers operated undetected for months using what company experts are calling AkiraBot, a modular and sophisticated tool that was able to bypass CAPTCHAs and other spam detection filters with ease. As SentinelOne explained, the bot was named not for any affiliation with the ransomware group Akira, but because the name, which means bright in Japanese, is used in a lot of creators' affiliated domains. AkiraBot's bottom line seems to be directing traffic to dubious SEO schemes, and with GPT-40 Mini, that process seems to have been automated at scale. Having attempted to spam roughly 420,000 websites and successfully getting its trash through to some 80,000, the humans behind AkiraBot were almost certainly paying for access to OpenAI's API, and we've reached out to Altman-run company to confirm. The bot's chief targets, per SentinelOne's investigation, were small and medium-sized businesses, and specifically the contact forms and chat widgets on those company websites. Using GPT-40 Mini to craft templates based on whichever type of contact module was at play, the spammers customized unique messages for each website in a way that got around spam filters at least part of the time. Starting with instruction to tell OpenAI most cost-efficient advanced model to act like a helpful assistant that generates marketing messages, the bot's creators operated for months before SentinelOne got wise to the spam scam. In one example of AkiraBot's messages from targeted candle companies' comments section, a phony customer service rep named Megan shilled SEO services that were, per angry reviews left on the Akira Trustpilot page, non-existent. "My name is Megan from the Akira team. I just noticed your website through the entire website listing and wanted to get in touch with you right away," the spam message reads. "We have a special offer for your website today, and that is the first page ranking on all major search engines, that Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and social media, and the video commercial advertising starting at $29.99, which I am absolutely certain will benefit your website and business by bringing you lots of new customers very, very quickly. Upon discovering and analyzing these bots and their output, SentinelOne researchers alerted OpenAI, and to the company's credit, it immediately investigated and ultimately disabled the creator's account. Still, it managed to run between September 2024 and February 2025 when a CureBot got caught, and there is no way to know how long its creators, who weren't named, paid OpenAI for access to API. And there's no way to know if they just changed the name and are doing it again somewhere else. But spammers, there's nothing good that comes out of generative AI. Like, give me something. I don't see anything. And we're talking specifically about generative AI. There are ways in which you can use algorithms and advanced algorithms, whatever, in different forms. But what benefit is there to immediately ripping off and creating content that just does this from all of this theft? There is nothing. And I cannot believe that literally no government anywhere, nobody nowhere has done any sort of thing to try to stop this. And this is to try to put a handle on this, knowing where it was going to go. Because this has been called out since it showed up in 2022. Probably before that. I only obviously became aware in 2022. And it's worse than just stealing stuff. We're going to get to it at the end of this video with other things that it is doing. Very briefly, we're going to talk Financial Times here. Much ink has been spilt and many keys pressed to figure out whether AI is a bubble. Just last month, OpenAI's ersatz Ghibli took X by storm. A big net win for society, as head honcho Sam Altman described it, and for the democratization, there we go, of creating content, which Hayao Miyazaki and other dastardly animators spent so long gatekeeping. You mean the skills that they learned how to make and the time that they spent making those things and learning those skills is gatekeeping? How about discipline? Discipline is now the gatekeeper of having a skill. Oh my gosh, kill discipline. One hint that we might just be stuck in a hype circle is the proliferation of what you might call second-order slop or slopaganda, a tidal wave of newsletters and X threads expressing awe at every press release and product announcement to hoover up some of that sweet, sweet advertising cash. Yeah, there is so much spam, so much garbage just being pumped out, and like rage bait. I block rage bait on site at this point. I'm not paying anybody for that stuff, but people are racing out to get as much as they can to get their bag before the door closes, and it's really sad. Like, this is not, I do not think that this is going to stick around. Like, maybe that's just me being hopeful because that's how I am. I mean, laugh at me all that you want. But I have more hope than that. And I know that the fight is in me, and I know that I'm going to be giving attention where it deserves to be. So, like, I can only speak for myself. I am hopeful against all of this, however. And so, I mean, if you're not, I'm sorry I can't doom with you. But hopefully I can help you not get that low. That AI companies are actively patronizing and fanning a cottage economy of self-described educators and influencers to bring in new customers suggests the emperor has no clothes. This reminds me of, and I'm sure it's still happening, I'm sure it's been happening, with the Kindle books on Kindle Unlimited, because you get paid by the page view on that. And people had been, scammers, I should say, had been scamming it by uploading something, having like long books, and then having bots to just flip through the books so that they could get the money from Kindle Unlimited reads while not being like real, because it was just a bot that was skipping through. Like, it's always these bots and these scammers trying to make the bag. And like, since Twitter was monetized, how much more rage bait have you seen? And then people laughing because they're getting so much attention by being rage baiters. Like, there is so much money in scamming and lying and making people angry and baiting people in different ways. There are an awful lot of AI newsletters out there, but the two which kept appearing in my X ads were Superhuman AI, run by Zane Khan, and Rowan Chung's The Rundown. Both claim to have more than 1 million subscribers, an impressive figure given the FT as of February had 1.6 million subscribers across the newsletters. If you actually read the AI newsletters, it's become harder to see why anyone's staying signed up. They offer a simulacrum of tech reporting with deeper insights or skepticism stripped out and replaced with techno-euphoria. Often they resemble the kind of press release summary ChatGPT would have written. That's also, like, stuff is so generic when it comes comes out of this, and there is no nuance when it comes out of generative AI. There is no actual discussion. There's also no criticisms. There is nothing. And I cannot tell you how many times if you open YouTube as a creator, it's like, hey, here's an inspiration tab. Let us tell you what you should write. And it constantly tells me that I should be doing videos praising generative AI and how those are popular. It's only funny because the generative AI is washing its own balls. Yet AI companies apparently see enough upside to put money into these endeavors. In a 2023 interview, Zane claimed that advertising spots on Superhuman pull in six figures a month. It currently costs $1,899 for a 150-character write-up as a featured tool in the newsletter. So that's also something that's going to eventually come up, because a lot of these things, they cost you a lot of money because of the exposure of like how big newsletters are. And you see it with book advertisements as well for newsletters for certain genres. Is like the bigger the newsletter group, the more it's going to cost you to have that exposure. But if you don't have the clicks, if you don't have the actual viewers, if people drop off because you're sending generative AI garbage, then you're going to be living off of hoping that you still have those numbers, but all of these numbers are now fake. Like, how do you promise that these are not made up generative AI clicks that are not actually going to convert into action, especially when your whole thing is broadcasting generative AI tools? Like, I don't think you can trust any of those views, if I'm honest with you. The rundown hasn't discussed its revenue breakdown, but if you want evidence of big tech's favor, look no further than Chung's 35-minute interview with Mark Zuckerberg from 2024. It's impressively Rogan-esque in its refusal to pose anything approaching a tough question. Khan and Chung did not respond to requests for comment. When I asked his view on the AI newsletter economy, Ed Zitron, writer, PR man, and scourge of slop, was characteristically excoriating. It's content built for people who don't really read or listen or, stuff. It's propaganda under a different name, he said. Zitron also expressed doubts about seven-figure subscriber counts, saying that it's easy enough to juice metrics by buying a list of email addresses, which is also true. It's not just a noted critic of the AI eats the world train who's less than impressed. These are basically content slops of the internet and adding very little upside on the content value, a data scientist at one of the Magnificent Seven told me. It's a new version of Indian news regurgitation portals, which have gamified the SEO and SEM, search engine optimization and marketing playbook. But newsletters are only the cream of the crop of propaganda. Twitter now teams with AI influencers willing to promote AI products for minimal sums. The lowest pricing I got was $40 a tweet. Most appear to be from Bangladesh or India, with a smattering of accounts claiming to be based on Australia or Europe. It's apparent contravention of Twitter's paid partnership policy. None disclose when they're getting paid to promote content, which it's funny / interesting / sad, because there have been videos on like dead internet theory and discussions of people cutting off social media because so much of it is fake. And it's been a joke for how many years now that so much dating website is actually just ads for either somebody's OnlyFans or special content, or it's just somebody's bot to get money with you on the app. Like, so much is so fake, and it can be so hard to find real people, where I really don't trust most things on social media, especially if they've got a blue check, especially if I don't see anything unique. Like, I started this YouTube channel like years ago, specifically for two reasons. One, I needed somewhere to put my thoughts to kind of talk, but two, I didn't know how to make friends, okay? I was in a working environment. I had finished university, and like, as an adult who doesn't drink, who's never drank, who doesn't do any partying, who's like just a homebody, how do you meet people? Because you don't go anywhere. And I know, sad, kind of pathetic, but it's okay. It is what it is. But I've met some incredible people through this. Now, it's taken years to even get where I am, but I have met some incredible people through this website. I went to somebody's wedding last year because I met her by doing this. And there are so many people on the Discord that I never would have met if I hadn't started doing this and was introduced to them, that I am so blessed to have in my life. And it's not everybody that comes in the direction, obviously. You're going to run into so many people that are not just, that either don't click with you or like they get you and them there are so many complications with meeting people. Let's just leave it at that. But the reason that I started doing this was to connect to other people, was to meet other people. And I can say that I have had success in doing that, even if, obviously there are a lot of people that come here that I don't talk to, many more than the people that I do talk to. But I am so grateful for the people that I have gotten to meet. And that is the connection that people go to for newsletters. People don't subscribe to somebody's newsletter to not hear from that person. People don't subscribe to a newsletter to have a computer talk to them about stuff that doesn't matter. They subscribe because they want to know what you're doing or to know what it is that brought them to you, to know you. And so this is so... It's so disconnected, and everything about generative AI, I see nothing about it that's not about separating humans from humans. And then you see some of the discussion around this, and it's so much hatred towards human. Even when you go back to some of the videos I did last year and the year before that, looking at the proponents constantly insulting humanity, constantly insulting humans as lesser than these computer systems. It's just human hate, and I understand how easy it is to hate humans because people can do some terrible things, mean things. I mean, obviously, we're talking about AI bros here, but it's people are not that bad. I mean, yeah, they can be bad, but it's hard to balance the description of the depravity in which humans can go, but also for as dark and evil as humans can be, you can have the bright side of that too. You can have the wonderment on that side too. And true human connection is a beautiful thing, I think. I mean, controversial maybe. I'm not going to fight you in the comments if you disagree. That's fine. If we disagree, that's fine. I just wish you luck either way. Anyway, higher value counts are similarly suspicious. In at least some cases, it's the same. People operating multiple accounts, a landing page for a smaller newsletter, 80/20. AI mentions 3 Twitter profiles that have different names promoting the same content in violation of the platform's guidelines on authentic content. When I asked 80/20 founder Alamin Hossein, he responded, "Can I know? Why do you ask?" Then went silent. Twitter did not respond to a request for a comment on whether these accounts broke the rules. And yet AI seems more than happy to pay for unethical spam to sell their products. APOB AI, one of the million generic image generators, has a whole Google Doc of suggested posts to copy into multiple languages and across different platforms. It's all sales. It's all about making money. I made an AI Instagram influencer in just 60 seconds. Now it's generating $5,000 a month, reads a recommended tweet on X, and that's money that is not going to an individual creator who is actually doing the work. It's going to a scammer making spam, who is likely a corporation, but also. Except they didn't make anything. The accompanying images of 2 women are taken from elsewhere. The post was received more than 420,000 views since last October. This was created with AI, the account told me when I asked him about the theft. When presented with evidence, he then claimed that he had not generated them, but simply took them from 2 other accounts. A reverse image search shows that yet another AI page had used the same photos. It is in its own way, Slopaganda exposes that the AI emblem is not the Shoggoth, but the Ouroboros. It's a circle of AI firms, VCs backing those firms, taking shops made up of employees of those firms, and the long tail of the hangers-on content creators, newsletters, writers, and marketing experts willing to say anything for cash. When these people pop up around the industry, it should be a sign that this is a worrisome bubble or that there are people actively looking to exploit it, which is also a good thing about gatekeepers, is gatekeepers exist to stop exploitation, to stop the abuse, to stop these low ringers. So I don't care if people come at me for being like, no, there should be some gatekeeping in the writing community. It's like why I say what I say. Now you can go and do whatever your own thing is, but not everybody has to accept you. And honestly, that's just what it is. Like my own boundaries are going to stop some people from liking me, and that's fine. But it should exist because we all, I mean, you do you, it's fine. Yeah. Over here with Ed Newton Rex, generative AI competes with the work it is trained on. Exhibit 72,253 AI music invasion doubles our Deezer. 20,000 bot-created tracks now uploading each day to streaming platforms. So again, if they say it doesn't compete, it does compete. Obviously, it buries actually created content or stories or music or art in general that it was stolen from. Here's the voice cloning from Remelt Ellen. Here's the voice cloning company that wrote that report, selling the solution to the problem that they are creating. So again, it's more about money, making a problem than selling the solution to fix the problem. Create an AI voice in minutes, detect deepfakes instantly. And this goes back here to a new report found that deepfake fraud has caused over $200 million in financial loss in the first quarter of 2025 alone. $200 million. And the same company making these voices is like, but also pay us and we can find deep fakes, creating their own problems and solutions. These are highwaymen. Futurism. Google is allegedly paying top AI researchers to just sit around and not work for the competition. Because, why is that? There's more money to be made by them dicking around doing whatever it is they're doing. Google apparently has one weird trick to hoard talent from poachers, paying them not to work. As Business Insider reports, some United Kingdom-based employees at Google's DeepMind AI lab are paid to do nothing for 6 months, or in fewer cases, up to a year after they quit their jobs. Known as garden leave, this type of cushy clause is a luckier stepsister to the so-called non-compete agreements, which prohibit employees and contractors from working with a competitor for a designated period of time after they depart from employers. Ostensibly meant to prevent aggressive poaching, these sorts of clauses also bar outgoing employees from working with competitors. Often deployed in tandem with non-competes, garden leave agreements are more prevalent in the UK than across the pond in the United States, where according to Horton Group law firm, such clauses are generally reserved for high-paid executives. Though it seems like a pretty good gig, or lack thereof if you get it, employees at DeepMind London HQ told Buy that garden leave and non-competes stymie their ability to lock down meaningful work after they leave the lab. While non-competes are increasingly a non-starter in the United States amid growing legislative pushes to make them unenforceable, they're perfectly legal and completely commonplace in the UK so long as the company explicitly states the business interests they're protecting. Like DeepMind's generous garden leave period, non-compete clauses typically last between 6 months and a year, but instead of getting paid to garden, per the former logic, ex-employees just can't work for competitors for that length of time without risking backlash from Google's army of lawyers. Because non-competes are often signed alongside non-disclosure agreements, we don't know exactly what DeepMind considers a competitor, but whatever the contract stipulates, it's clearly bothersome enough to get its former staffers to speak out. Who wants to sign you for starting in a year? One DeepMinder told BI, that's forever in AI. In an X post from the end of March, Nando de Freitas, a London-based former DeepMind director who now works for Microsoft, offered a brash piece of advice. The people should not sign non-competes at all. Above all, don't sign these contracts, de Freitas wrote. No American corporation should have that much power, especially in Europe. It's abuse of power, which does not justify any end. It's not a bad bit of counsel for sure, but as with any other company, it's easy to imagine DeepMind simply choosing not to hire experts if they refuse to sign, which, true, I think that's what a lot of people end up suffering from with not signing things. Now, I mentioned stuff being more bad than than stealing livelihoods and rights to the things that you create, your own labors, your own efforts, your own skills. Well, we've also talked about the energy drain in which these generative AI and these companies are doing. And let's start here with Mark Zuckerberg recently built a massive data center for Meta in Georgia. There are residential homes just 100 yards away. It uses so much water that residents no longer have water pressure in their homes. Their sink water no longer works. Their toilets don't fill. Their homes physically shake from the constant new construction. The data centers use so much power that they often go without power, and the small amount of water that they do get in their homes is full of sentiment. It's overwhelming because you really feel like you are up against this huge wall that you can't penetrate. There is nothing that you can do, and they don't care. So this will be linked below if you would like to watch the 2.5-minute video. And then Meta and Facebook down here with a place in Boise, Idaho. Residents are having the same concern about it being built there. So this goes in tandem with that. Futurism says, former Google CEO tells Congress that 99% of all electricity will be used to power the super intelligent AI. So if you think that what is happening in Georgia or what could happen in Idaho is a bug, it's not. It's a feature because these companies, based on this, totally opinion, they don't care about you. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care if you die. These computers are the things that are going to make them money, not you in your residential home. And so, who cares? In Harlan Ellison's disturbing 1967 short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a sentient superintelligence named Am has taken over the Earth's resources and exterminated humanity after combining the powers of 3 US, Soviet, and Chinese supercomputers into one. A small group of survivors has been kept alive for AM's amusement, forced to roam the supercomputer's endless electronic innards. It's a grim setting, but evidently one that billionaire tech tycoon and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt imagines for a future of humanity, if his comment in the White House Committee on Energy and Commerce are any indication. What we need from you, Schmidt told lawmakers, is we need the energy in all forms, renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there, and it needs to be there quickly. The wannabe tech overlord was appearing in front of a governmental panel to talk AI, specifically what the future holds for it. Wouldn't you think that if they're like, hey, we're going to take 99% of the power of humanity just to power this thing, that you would be like, no? Like, just shut it down immediately. I do not see a point for this. And they're like, we need 99% of power, but we also don't have enough power yet. Like, we need more. And then we need 99% of more. Many people project demand for our industry to go from 3% to 99% of total generations. In addition to 29 gigawatts by 2027 and 67 more gigawatts by 2030, he asserted. If China comes to superintelligence first, it changes the dynamic of powers globally. I cannot believe they continually keep using China as a freaking boogeyman to be like, give us all the things that we want. China is this gun, and it's every time they want something, it's China, China, China. Fear China, now give us your money. In ways that we have no way of understanding or predicting, Schmidt said, even echoing the backstory of Ellison's cautionary tale. Schmidt's American exceptionalism, the idea that the US is superior to all other global interests, is nothing new, and neither is the wild-eyed brand of AI hype. In 2023, CNN reported that 42% of CEOs say AI could destroy humanity in 5 to 10 years. And then why are they allowing it to develop? They're like, guys, this could destroy us. Let's get it done faster. If you're suicidal, please don't take the rest of us with you. Like, stop. Can somebody explain the logic behind this other than an attempt to kill everybody because they hate everybody? Like, I honestly do not understand. If you're like, tech innovation, but tech innovation should improve life. It should improve living. Killing everybody is not that. Why do all of these people have fantasies about murdering the entire human race? And that is what it is. Maybe I'm being over dramatic here. I'm just trying to put it in plain terms of what I'm seeing. That way, if somebody can correct me, they can correct these terms. Yet, if today's tech is any indication, AI has a long trek through the slop before it can even think of destroying humanity, let alone siphoning 99% of the Earth's energy. What is new is Schmidt's insistence to Congress that Chinese superintelligence is coming to us. An Acclaim Energy Committee Chair Brett Guthier called a sober assessment. That's the troubling response, given that many AI researchers believe that type of computer intelligence is highly unlikely to hit anytime soon. So why tell lawmakers the opposite? Like many other tech billionaires, Schmidt has a personal interest not only in growing the AI industry, but also in scaring lawmakers into handing over the keys to the kingdom. It's a strategy known as corporate capture, and it's been a particularly effective move for Silicon Valley giants like Uber, which has been given almost complete authority to write its own rules. When it comes to AI, tech tycoons are particularly anxious about energy as the data centers powering their soon-to-be superintelligent algorithms eat megawatts for breakfast. As the race to develop the most advanced AI model heats up, companies like Elon Musk's XI are resorting to less than legal means to avoid waiting for pesky EPA rulings and bothersome power grid assessments. Probably should investigate people breaking the law. Billionaires should not be above the law. This is, you don't want to know what happens when you do this. I'm just saying, if they're following literature already, you should probably read more literature about what happens a lot of the time when this happens, and also historical. Late last year, Schmidt was caught hiding direct investment in AI startups throughout his tenure as chairman of the National Security Commission on Artificial Intelligence. No doubt a huge conflict of interest, but technically legal according to experts. According to ethics experts, bro, I have to sign an ethical thing every year at work to promise that I have no conflicts of interest. Why is it that these people can go straight up to lawmakers and literally threaten lawmakers and defraud lawmakers to try to be given power above the law? Over here with Ed Newton Rex, AI is just a tool, they said. AI companies aren't trying to replace your jobs. AI won't replace you. Someone using AI will replace you. And then you go back over here to Mechanize's articles. Today we are announcing Mechanize, a startup focused on developing virtual work environments, benchmarks, and training data that will enable the full automation of the economy. The market potential here is absurdly large. Workers in the US are paid around 18 trillion per year in aggregate. For the entire world, the number is over 3 times greater, around 60 trillion per year. It's saying, guys, the wages of all humanity together, like, don't you want to lower wages of humanity? That's what they're literally arguing here. The explosive economic growth likely to result from completely automating labor could generate vast abundance, much higher standards of living, and new goods and services that we can't even imagine today. Our vision is to realize this potential as soon as possible. So wants to remove you from your job so that they can make more money. Like, that is the thing. Is, do you have a problem with not making enough money as a corporation? Well, get rid of having to pay employees, and then your standards of living can get higher. Excuse me? Who is this for? Let's remember, who is this for? Over here at Market Insider, 74% of CEOs admit that they could lose their jobs within 2 years if they don't deliver measurable AI business gains, reveals Data Iku's Global AI Confessions report. So anytime that you see people pushing generative AI and saying that you need to give up, just remember that there are so many careers that have been built on selling this thing, contracts that have been built on selling this thing. They need people to believe. They need it to be successful. They need to get away with it. So they are going to convince you, or attempt to convince you, that it is too late, that you should give up, that there's nothing that you can do, that you are going to fail anyways. It's already here, you Luddite, because their careers depend on it. And not only are you going to see it from those people, these people all work in tech. It's sock accounts. It's bots. It's going to make you feel like you are crazy and alone, and it is meant to demotivate you. And that's why we're here today, is don't get demotivated. There are more of us than you think that there are, okay? You can't feel me, like, really, but feel me. We're real right here. Look into my eyes. I know I should be doing some crazy eyes here, but we're real. It's fine. It's going to be okay. Over here with Newton Rex, I wrote today about why creators are losing the AI copyright battle. We're winning in the courts. The first US case went against the AI company. Expect the other cases to follow. We're winning in the public opinion. All polls show that public support data licensing requirements. But the risk is governments changing the law, which is why these companies are going to lawmakers, lying to lawmakers, begging lawmakers, because they know that they're already lying. They know that they've lost opinion, and they have to try to get around AI, and they have to try to get around the law. Then all of these lawsuits would fail because they've changed the law. They're not focusing on changing our opinion. They don't think that we're important enough to talk to about. And it's very similar to, like, the people that have come to the Discord and have been like, I don't care about talking to anybody here because nobody here is important, except for, like, people that I think that I can ride. That's these people. These people don't see anyone who is not paying them billions of dollars being worth their time. So never give up. And that's also a reason why I try to cover this stuff as well. So 1, we can stay informed. 2, we can follow the conversations that are happening. And then 3, so we can continue the fight. Because in some cases, just saying, just sharing, just being together and knowing that you're not alone is a very large part of keeping the energy up and of keeping the motivation and of keeping hope and keeping with this stuff. I don't think that you have to, like, be out all of the time doing things, because we each have different skills and we each have different amounts of free time. So we all do what we can. And even just continuing to make your art, if you're a creator, or continuing to watch movies or talk about movies or read books and talk about books, or listen to music, talk about music, any of them, just doing those things contributes. Just to being a person, to being alive, to having fun. Not everything has to actually be political. Just live. Just be a person. It matters. Over here, the Japanese lawmakers are considering making AI images of Studio Ghibli illegal. We also have a reader context added down here, where it was actually, they were wondering if the images constituted a copyright infringement or not under current law. It is also likely that they could actually say that it was a trademark infringement, because it was literally advertising itself as Studio Ghibli, and there is a visible, not only confusion, but also stolen business opportunities. So I would not be surprised if they do. And that also, that's why so quickly OpenAI stopped saying Studio Ghibli, because OpenAI was literally making money off of Studio Ghibli's name and lineage by saying Studio Ghibli. So we'll see where that goes. And then the final thing for today from Bose the Library Owl, just calm down and let people enjoy ChatGPT. Sorry, no. I find it creepy that folks are treating a machine that mimics human speech as their friend/therapist. It is feeding you lies. It is destroying your thinking abilities. Shut it off. Talk to humans. Go outside. People are not that bad, I promise. Like, people are scary. So, I don't want to act like there's like, people can be scary. Being social can be scary. I don't know if it's obvious. It would be more if you saw me in person, okay? I'm a very awkward person, and I used to be so withdrawn. And I'm still pretty quiet in person most of the time. You can talk to people that know me for real. I'm usually the most quiet person in the group. But I went into theater to specifically make myself learn how to get out of my shell because I knew that I needed to. And so I've tried to learn some coping mechanisms. I've tried to get better at approach. I still am very socially awkward, and I don't like want to be a burden on anybody. I don't want to put anybody out, which may not be obvious by how critical I am of books at times. And I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings. I just I'm still awkward. Okay. I may have learned how to talk to people when I need to talk to people. And I may have learned to be a little more outgoing at times, but I am still the same awkward person. But it is good. And as scary as it is, you can't meet people and you can't talk to people without putting yourself out there. And you're going to face rejection, and rejection hurts at times too. But you also will meet the greatest people that you will ever meet if you let yourself explore, if you let yourself live. And I'm not saying that it's easy. I mean, some people it is super easy for because they're really outgoing and they're really charismatic, and you're like, what the frick? People is just you glow in a good way, not as a fad. But it's good. And there is nothing that can replace true human connections. I could not be the same without the people in my life that I love, without my friends, without the friends that I call family. And I think that it is really sad when people get to the point of feeling so alone that they have to outsource it to a computer. I promise there is nobody that is past finding a chance. But you have to be sincere, and you have to open your heart, and you have to see people, not as opportunities, not as somebody to use, not as resources. You have to be honest. And that's really what it comes down to. But so that is the video today. With that said, let me know your thoughts on any or all of the articles that were shared on what's going on. And with all that said, have a great weekend. Keep the spirits up. Have a great weekend. And don't die.
To my children, Tommy, Ike, and Annabelle. If you forget everything else I ever said in the lifetime we shared together, I need you to remember 3 things. 1. Minimize violence done to and by women. As givers of life, it's against their nature, God's design, to do harm, and every act of violence done to them is meant to break their souls, turning what should be a giver of hope into a black widow. A woman who destroys the life and the mercy of her care for no other reason but the corruption of her own self. It is only when you come across these kinds of women that you should put them down, for they are no better than the men who tarnished them. However, take no glee in what must be done. Finding any life so far gone, a black hole is where someone's heart should be, leaves only one solution. The mercy of death, and it's a tragedy when it happens. Make no mistake, a woman's love is the most powerful thing on this earth. It can start wars, end them, and change the devil himself into someone God sees worthy of giving a second chance. She don't owe this love to anyone, but she do carry it around with her so long as she's living. That is why the devil will do everything he can to pervert women's nature and destroy their innocence. Of every crime you can commit during your lifetime, be it out of daring or necessity, for every defiance you may act out against God, government, or man, avoid harming the innocent. For the day that we become bloodthirsty beasts where love don't exist anymore is the day hell on earth has come. And as bad as it may seem at times nowadays, we ain't there yet. 2. Everything you do in your life will create consequences, both seen and unseen, extending further than you can imagine. Nothing you do exists solely within your arm's reach. Think about every decision you make, every action you take, because you won't know how long your choices will stalk you, be them destructions or blessings, rumors or history been made. The truth of the matter is, your life will be controlled not by the truth of what you've done, but by the way others carry on about you. And the thoughts of others are more real in the long term than what you know to be true. It won't stop affecting you just 'cause it ain't real, and no matter the life you've lived, most men can't outrun what's written in them in ink. It ain't hopeless though. Be firm in knowing who you are outside of the noise, and live beyond the means of the news of the day. 3. There ain't anything stronger than a family you build for yourself. What you put together is worth fighting for. Protect your loved ones with your life, and they'll give theirs in return. Family ain't defined by blood, understand that. And for as strong as the bonds of your family are, know that you'll find just as much passion in the people who hate you. While you'll risk your life for those you care about, those who find your existence to be an insult to theirs will risk themselves to put an end to their affliction. As cruel as it may seem, a man who hates you will stop at nothing until one of you is dead. It's a mistake to believe anything different. Don't let you be the ones taken from, be it by outlaw lawmen or by someone in between. The only one who'll be looking out for you is you and your kin. Maybe there's another way to be. But in all my years I've seen the worst of man, I ain't found another way around man's desire to conquer against all else. There ain't a changing of that mind, and sometimes I believe there ain't the ability for man to change at all, least of all through lead or legislation. I ain't claiming to be right about nothing. On many things, I don't want to be right, but what I do want is for my kids to live a better life than the one I did and avoid the mistakes that I made while finding the truth and purpose in what matter more than gold in this country. It's my hope that by sharing the things I learned that my kids will be better than their old man ever was, and that what I done isn't what people remember me for, but who y'all are going to become. That'll be the legend of Bill Cassidy.